He died in your arms, and you said that that changed you forever.
But bro, that's the main reason I just said bro, that's the main reason.
And all I hear is this man screaming, he said, dance. And he started shooting, and I'm just like, oh my.
Over the past 5 years, at least 11 rappers have stared death directly in the face and somehow lived to tell about it. From Quandondo Rondo, who lost his cousin in the process, to Skilab, who survived 20 rounds of bullets shot into his SUV. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why it is dangerous to live in the limelight. Megan Thee Stallion. Before Megan Thee Stallion became synonymous with female empowerment anthems and Grammy-winning performances, she endured what can only be described as a nightmare that would forever alter her perception of trust and safety in an industry she'd worked so hard to conquer. The events of that summer night in 2020 would become a defining moment, not just for her career, but for how the music industry handles violence against women. On the night of July 12, 2020, following a pool party at Kylie Jenner's Hollywood Hills residence, an argument erupted inside an SUV carrying Megan, Canadian rapper Tory Lanez, his bodyguard, and Megan's friend Kelsey Harris. The tension that had been simmering throughout the evening finally boiled over, and what happened next would spark one of the most controversial legal battles in recent hip-hop history. Nobody in that vehicle could have predicted how dramatically the night would deteriorate, according to Megan's testimony, as she attempted to exit the vehicle to escape the heated confrontation. Tory Lanez allegedly shouted, "Dance!" before opening fire, striking her in both feet. The bullets mercifully missed bones and tendons, but the physical wounds poured in comparison to the psychological trauma that would follow. In the immediate aftermath, with the nation reeling from George Floyd protests and heightened tension surrounding police interactions with Black Americans, Megan made a decision that she would later have to explain countless times to skeptics and supporters alike.
Said I stepped on glass because I didn't.
Why did you say that? Why didn't you say he shot me?
For some reason I was just trying to protect all of us because I didn't want them to kill.
What followed was years of public scrutiny, victim blaming, and doubt that Megan has described as deeply traumatizing. Social media became a battlefield where credibility was questioned daily by trolls and even fellow industry figures. The trial culminated in Tory Lanez's conviction on December 23, 2022, with a subsequent 10-year prison sentence handed down in August 2023. His appeals were rejected in November 2025, and he maintains his innocence to this day from behind bars, continuing to wage a public relations campaign, questioning the verdict. Julio Feo. Long before Jacksonville drill rapper Julio Fulio met his tragic end in June 2024, he had already cheated death on multiple occasions, a fact that many outside Florida's rap scene knew absolutely nothing about. His story represents one of the most dramatic examples of a rapper living on borrowed time, surviving attempt after attempt while openly taunting his enemies on social media. Charles Andrew Jones, too, born in 1998, was no stranger to the violence that plagued Jacksonville streets. His affiliation with the 6-block set of KTA, which literally stands for Kill Them All, placed him squarely in the crosshairs of rival factions, particularly ATK, and their associates. The beef wasn't just musical. It was deeply personal, rooted in years of bloodshed and retaliation that claimed friends and family members on both sides. Every diss track release added fuel to an already raging inferno that consumed live with terrifying regularity. In November 2021, Fulio was ambushed in Jacksonville's Riverside area. He was shot in the leg while getting out of a car, sustaining wounds that would have ended most people's careers. But Feo wasn't most people. True to his confrontational nature, he posted defiantly during his recovery, taunting his would-be killers with messages like, "You'll miss 100 shots." This brazen response only intensified the target on his back, making future attempts almost inevitable. This wasn't even his first brush with death. He'd survived a Houston shooting in 2020 and would survive yet another ambush in October 2023, where suspects later linked to his eventual murder waited for him and opened fire, striking him in the foot. The man seemed almost supernatural in his ability to evade fatal gunfire until his luck finally ran out during his birthday celebration in Tampa, when assailants armed with pistols and rifles fitted with brass catches caught him in a hotel parking lot. The brass catches were a chilling detail designed to collect shell casings and complicate forensic investigations. Quando Rondo. The August 2022 shooting that took the life of Wando Rondo's cousin and close associate was no random act of violence. It was, according to federal prosecutors, a carefully orchestrated murder-for-hire plot that represented the culmination of one of hip-hop's deadliest ongoing feuds. This incident would eventually expose the dark underbelly of rap beef, revealing how deeply intertwined the music industry had become with organized street violence. The backstory begins on November 6, 2020, when a confrontation outside an Atlanta nightclub left Chicago rapper King Van dead. Van's associate, Lil Durk, publicly mourned the loss while tensions between the two camps simmered dangerously online. Social media became a war zone of subliminal threats and direct call-outs. According to federal documents, Durk allegedly placed a bounty on Wondo's head, using every resources to fund what investigators describe as an assassination attempt. The alleged conspiracy involved flights, rental cars, and coordinated surveillance. On that fateful August night at a Beverly Grove gas station in Los Angeles, gunman fired approximately 17 rounds at Rondo's SUV. The bullets found Sava Lulu Pab Robinson, Rondo's 24-year-old cousin, killing him at the scene. Rondo himself escaped without physical injury, but the emotional wounds cut deep. He would later speak about watching his closest friend die in his arms, an experience that fundamentally changed his outlook on life and the music industry.
Well, you had a situation in LA where you lost your friend, Lil Pap. He actually died in your arms, and you said that changed you forever.
But bro, that's the main reason I just said that's the main reason. Ain't no rules. I might feel like I won't shoot up nobody's house. You might feel like that. You might feel like, I might feel like I won't shoot at nobody while they with their kids. You might feel like that.
5 members were charged in October 2024, including Lil Durk himself, who was arrested in Florida, allegedly while attempting to flee internationally with bookings to Dubai, Switzerland, and Italy. The trial has been pushed to October 2025 with prosecutors seeking an anonymous jury due to intimidation concerns. Credit cards linked to Durk allegedly funded the entire operation. Jay Dungan. The July 2022 ambush that claimed the life of Louisiana rapper Jay Dungan stands as one of the most brutal yet least discussed attacks in recent hip-hop history, particularly because his father survived the same hail of bullets that killed his son. This father-son tragedy illuminates how violence in hip-hop often extends beyond the artists themselves, pulling entire families into deadly crossfire. Joris Tykes. Scott had built a substantial following with mixtapes like Forever 23 and tracks that accumulated billions of views across streaming platforms. But his affiliation with the 23 gang in Bogalusa, Louisiana, painted a target on his back that even his growing fame couldn't erase. The small-town politics of Bogalusa meant that everyone knew everyone, and old grudges had a way of resurfacing with deadly consequences. On July 27, 2022, around 5:50 p.m., Scott and his father, Kenyatta, were ambushed on their Superior Avenue porch by 5 assailants emerging from a black truck with 2 additional attackers approaching from the side. Jada Young was struck 8 times. Despite surviving surgery, he succumbed to blood loss after 7 hours of fighting for his life in the hospital. His father, Kenyatta, shot twice in the arm, managed to return fire at the attackers, and survived his injuries, a bittersweet outcome that left him alive. But having witnessed his son's murder, his mother would later allege the shooting was a setup, noting her son's increased caution following a recent prison release. She believed someone close had provided information about his location. The investigation has revealed connections to Bogalusa's wearing gangs, including the 23 gang and allied 1400 gang, both involved in heroin trafficking, gun running, and fraud. Yet, as of December 2025, no arrests have been made directly tied to Jada Youngan's murder. A haunting reminder of how difficult it can be to achieve justice when witnesses fear retaliation more than they trust law enforcement. The case remains cold while his music continues streaming millions of plays monthly. PMBB Rock's girlfriend. While the world mourned the tragic loss of Philadelphia rapper PMBB Rock on September 12, 2022, one crucial detail often gets overlooked. His girlfriend, Stephanie Sibin Huang, was sitting directly across from him when the shooting occurred, and she survived only because of his final selfless act. Her survival story represents both a miracle and an unbearable burden that she carries every single day. The attack at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles in South Los Angeles was premeditated and ruthless. Prosecutors would later reveal that the location had been identified through social media. A masked 17-year-old gunman directed by his father, Freddie Latrone, who waited in a getaway car, entered the restaurant and demanded PNB Rock's jewelry at gunpoint. When the rapper resisted, he was shot 3 times, once in the chest and twice in the back. The entire restaurant erupted in chaos as patrons scrambled for safety. But in those terrifying final moments, PMBB Rock's thoughts weren't on himself. According to Saibon Huang's emotional account, he threw her under the table to shield her from the gunfire, an act that saved her life. She escaped without physical injury, but has spoken extensively about the severe PTSD and depression she's battled since witnessing the love of her life murdered before her eyes. The guilt of survival weighs heavily on her, knowing his last conscious decision was to protect her.
And what started out as a simple robbery. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so the father sent the kid to go in there?
Kid was like 17. Over some jewelry that really won't change your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, how much you gonna get for a stolen chain like that? A couple $1,000s?
Freddie Trone was convicted of murder in August 2024 and sentenced to 31 years to life. His son, now 19, has been deemed incompetent to stand trial and remains in mental health treatment, a twisted family affair that cost a rising star's life and left his partner with wounds that may never fully heal. Saibon Huang has since become an advocate for mental health awareness among trauma survivors. Buckshot, when you think of hip-hop legends facing violence, your mind probably doesn't jump to veteran Brooklyn rapper Buckshot of Black Moon and Boot Camp Click fame. But in October 2024, the foundational figure learned that even decades of respect in the game can't protect you from modern-day predators willing to assault anyone standing in the way of their criminal enterprises. The incident stemmed not from rap beef, but from something far more mundane, a real estate dispute. Buckshot had purchased a dilapidated three-family home in East Flatbush for $46,000 in August 2024 and began renovations, unknowingly disrupting a Jamaican-born career criminal who had been squatting at the property, using it for scams and storing unregistered ghost cars. The squatter had been preying on vulnerable homeowners throughout the neighborhood, and Buckshot's arrival threatened to expose the entire operation. On October 28 around 5 p.m. the confrontation turned violent. One assailant pushed Buckshot, who retaliated, prompting the man to summon two accomplices, late-teen fake Crips armed with handguns. They pistol-whipped the rapper twice, causing concussion, broken nose, forehead knots, and a head lump. No shots were fired, but sources suggest the intent was potentially lethal with references to trying to Tupac the hip-hop icon. The attack happened in broad daylight on a residential street, where Buckshot had legitimate property rights. In a November 2024 statement, Buckshot expressed being deeply disturbed by the violence in his own city, emphasizing his role as a rightful owner facing unauthorized occupants who resorted to armed threats. The NYPD classified it as a gang assault investigation, though no arrests have been reported as of late 2024. By November 19th, Buckshot announced a triumphant return, signaling his resilience while vowing to pursue legal action against his attackers. Skila Baby, Detroit Skila Baby, had been building serious momentum in 2025 when a hail of over 20 bullets nearly ended. Everything he'd worked for on a suburban street just miles from where he grew up. The attack was so intense that investigators initially believed they were responding to multiple shooters, only to discover the devastating firepower had come from a single vehicle. On May 22nd, 2025, around 7 p.m, Trayvon Gardner was driving alone near the intersection of 8 Mile Road and Centria Street in Redford Township when a dark-colored SUV pulled alongside him. What happened next was nothing short of an execution attempt. Over 20 rounds were fired into his vehicle, striking him 3 times, grazes to his head and back, plus a direct hit to his hand. The sheer volume of gunfire left his SUV looking like Swiss cheese with bullet holes covering the driver's side. The intensity of the assault caused Skila Baby to crash his SUV into a nearby building. A Good Samaritan witnessed the aftermath and transported him to a hospital where doctors confirmed his injuries were non-life-threatening, but the sheer volume of gunfire left no doubt this was a targeted attack. Whoever pulled that trigger wanted Skila Baby dead, and nearly succeeded.